What's up? So in this particular video, we are going to discuss another question that used to be asked while interview, and that is what are the different types of machine learning, right? So different type of machine learning, we can say that we can divide machine learning algorithms into three specific groups: supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. So basically, this reinforcement learning is a kind of, you can say it's a subcategory in unsupervised learning, because as per the definition what we give with unsupervised learning, that follows in reinforcement learning also. So if we are going to the definition of supervised learning, we will say that it is basically a kind of learning in which the machines learn by using labeled data. What are the labeled data? Means we have some predefined training set. Out of them, we will first train the machine according to that training set, and then we will apply that particular learning of machine into actual data. So we already have some labeled data from which the machine can first learn, and then it can be applied into real world, as we usually do with real life. The children used to be trained with some data earlier, and then they used to apply that knowledge into the actual word or actual task. Right. On the other hand, if we are talking about unsupervised learning, there are some specific tasks in which we cannot define, in which we cannot have predefined data or training set. At that time, we have to understand, or we have to complete that task according to our own instinct or according to our own brain or knowledge or experience, we can say. So in unsupervised learning, the machine is trained on unlabeled data without any guidance. There will be no teacher, there will be no guide. The machine have to learn by its own experiences. While on the other hand, reinforcement learning is another type of learning, we can say, in which an agent interacts with its environment by producing actions and discovers errors or rewards. So it's basically a reward based learning in which we will give some kind of reward to machine whenever it will perform a good task or a better task, right? Different type of problems that we can say we usually have in supervised learning, that is regression and classification. In unsupervised learning, we have association and clustering, and in reinforcement, it's basically reward based problems. Type of data, we have already discussed that in supervised learning we have labeled data, we have predefined data set, while in unsupervised learning and in reinforcement, basically in unsupervised learning we don't have any labeled data, we basically have data that is unlabeled, while in reinforcement learning we do not have any predefined data. Okay, and then when we'll come to the training part, we provide training in supervised learning as per external supervision, while in unsupervised and reinforcement learning, there is no external supervision. The machine have to learn, have to train by its own. Approaches. Supervised learning map labeled input into known output, while in unsupervised learning, it understands patterns and discover output as we do with clustering, right? Like face recognition is there, voice recognition is there. So you can have some patterns there, and you will discover the output according to that. Like the machine is getting some pattern of voice of any specific person, and it is discovering of which person's voice is that. As well as in reinforcement learning, it will follow trail and error method. Different popular algorithms that we basically use with supervised learning are linear regression, logistic regression, support vector machine, nearest neighborhood network, etc. While in unsupervised learning, we have k-means clustering, c-means clustering, you can have PCAs, principal component analysis, etc. While in reinforcement, we have Q-learning and SASA, etc. These are basically the popular algorithms that used to be followed in different categories of learning in machines. So guys, we have